Yeah.
And if something comes up, an issue comes up in the marriage, they don't see it as a blame issue. You do this wrong, whatever. But they see it as a problem to be solved. And they just sit there and work out what to do, and they solve it. In many cases, that might be continuing to let me be me. Don't try and change me. Let me be me and get used to the fact that I see the world in a slightly different way to you, and so on. Above all, what you've got to be careful of is if you see that your language in a relationship is starting to involve a lot of criticism, then you should pull back and ask yourself, how can I better handle these situations? Because if I start criticizing my partner, very soon they're going to start slipping away from me.
Yeah. Yeah, and the words that we hear used often when that criticism just keeps escalating is you always, you always, so to catch ourselves and to catch yourself when you find yourself in moments and every other time you're just saying you always do this and the other, and perhaps also give the other person space. I think space is a big one. Whilst you would imagine that now that people are married, they should just be happy together, always want to be together, hanging out, but the person, your spouse, wife, husband, should be allowed time to just have their time, do whatever they like.
I mean, they should be allowed to have their own interests. They should be allowed to have their own friends. They should be allowed to work. They should be allowed to do the things that they would have done anyway if you had not been around. If they continue doing those, they're the same interesting person that you met, right, all those years ago. And it's strange how we sort of try and curtail all this. We pull it all in. But in fact, you should let them lead as interesting a life as possible. And above all, as we were saying a moment ago, you've got to be really sure that before you open your mouth, you're going to say something that your partner's going to like hearing. If basically you're going to give them a hard time every time you speak to them, they're going to start avoiding conversations. They're going to start coming later. They're going to start avoiding certain topics. And before you know it, you don't actually talk very much. And that's when people get lonely.
And we have heard of cases where couples will go for months without conjugal...
You're trying to avoid that word, aren't you?
Yes, I am trying to. But
you know, it's true. I see a large number of couples who have been celibate for years. Years. And they may even still be sleeping in the same bed, but they don't actually touch or speak in that bed. You know, it's as if they were in two separate rooms, but they're not. And that's very common. Both have lost the ability to talk about intimacy, to ask for it, to explore what they should be doing. They can't do it anymore. It's a bit like, you know, if I meet you as a stranger in a bar, I can't raise that topic, can I? Well, that situation arises in marriages. If you've got to the loneliness stage where you don't talk about small things, you can't talk about the big things either.
Wow.
Yes.